Before Rolex crowned wrists and before Seiko shocked the world with quartz, there was a $1 watch that changed everything. Ingersoll didn't chase royalty or luxury. It handed time to the people, farmers, factory workers, even a president on safari. But how did a rubber stamp shop in New York become the brand that made the dollar famous? That's the story we're about to visit. When you think of legendary American watchmakers, a few big names might spring to mind. But if you're skipping over Ingersoll, you're missing the brand that basically handed timekeeping to the masses, like Oprah handing out free cars. You get a watch, you get a watch. Ingersoll democratized watches, bringing them from the jewelry vaults of the elite to the wrist of everyday people. The story of the Ingersoll Watch Company is more than just about gears and dials. It's a story about making time available to everyone. Whether you've worn one, inherited one, or spotted one at a flea market or antique shop, an Ingersoll isn't just a timepiece. It's a pocket-sized history lesson, and the best part, you don't need a trust fund or a monocle to appreciate it. It all kicked off in 1892 when Robert and Charles Ingersoll launched a mail-order business in New York. Back then, they were selling things like rubber stamps and novelties. It was basically the 19th century version of an Etsy shop. But in 1892, they teamed up with the Waterbury Clock Company and decided to dive headfirst into horology. Enter the dollar watch. Yes, $1. That was a lot more back then than it is today, but it was still impressively accessible. For the first time, the average American could afford a reliable timepiece. It was the smartwatch of its day, minus the Bluetooth and anxiety-inducing notifications. And this wasn't just about budget, it was a cultural mic drop. Suddenly, timekeeping wasn't reserved for railroad barons and bankers. Factory workers, farmers, and kids saving up chore money could walk around with their own watch. You may have heard the phrase, "made the dollar famous," but you may not know it was coined in reference to Ingersoll. That slogan didn't come out of a marketing brainstorm, it came from reality. Ingersoll sold millions of these things, and they weren't just affordable, they worked. The brand kept things simple, efficient, and focused on reliability long before lean became a corporate buzzword. Were they flashy? Nope. But they showed up every day and did the job, just like the hardworking, dedicated Americans who were wearing them. That kind of no-nonsense performance was part of the appeal. If you're the kind of person who chooses function over fluff, Ingersoll was your brand before you even knew it existed. Theodore Roosevelt took an Ingersoll on his African safari and called it the watch that kept ticking in the jungle. No big deal, just a US president casually trusting an Ingersoll while surrounded by wild animals and zero cell service. Even Thomas Edison had one. This was back when a wristwatch wasn't a style statement. It was a badge of progress. Owning one meant you were keeping up with the times, literally and figuratively. And here's the genius part. Ingersoll leaned into these endorsements before sponsorship content was a thing. No hashtags or filter, just a solid product and some famous fans. During World War I, Ingersoll adapted like a champ. They switched gears from pocket watches to wristwatches, a bold move for the time, and started producing rugged, no-nonsense models for soldiers. After the war, they didn't just fade into obscurity, they dropped the first Mickey Mouse watch in 1933, proving that timepieces can be adorable and iconic. It was the beginning of their crossover moment, part classic, part pop culture. And this wasn't just a US thing. Ingersoll went global, showing up on wrists from Brooklyn to Berlin to Bangkok. So if you stumble across one in another country, don't worry. It's still carrying the same DNA, hardworking, reliable, and quietly cool. Like most heritage brands, Ingersoll hit some turbulence during the quartz crisis of the 1970s. Digital watches started taking over, and Ingersoll's classic style looked a little too analog. Ownership changed hands a few times. Things got messy. But somehow, like every movie hero who's down but not out, Ingersoll got back up. Today, the brand's doing what it does best, combining vintage charm with modern updates. Current models feature skeleton dials, automatic movements, and bold designs that tip their hat to early 20th century flair. It's the kind of watch that says, yes, I know where I came from, but I clean up nice. Some watches are flash and no story. Ingersoll is the opposite. It's the kind of piece that makes people ask, what's the story behind that? And luckily, there's plenty to tell. You're wearing a symbol of American ingenuity. Your Ingersoll is something that made timekeeping personal, practical, and accessible to people who don't own yachts or mansions. It doesn't matter if you're a collector, a casual fan, or just someone who appreciates a good comeback. Ingersoll still delivers. And if the one you find needs a little TLC, Ingersoll Watch Repair won't require a second mortgage or a private jet to Switzerland. These watches were built to be used and fixed by real people. So if you get your hands on an Ingersoll that shows its history a little too much, professional watch repair can bring it back to its full glory. Whether it's a forgotten family treasure tucked away in a dusty drawer, or shining on your wrist during a first date, an Ingersoll reminds you that time is what you make of it. And sometimes, it comes wrapped in a pretty great story.